So in the next short presentation, we are going to look at the total cost of operation. Again, we're comparing four aircraft, the TBM 930, the Pilatus PC-12, the Nextant 400 XTI, and the Learjet 70. When doing these calculations, as a business, we decided to go ahead and purchase the aircraft outright. So we're paying 100% of the cost of the aircraft. So we're going to go ahead and transfer that debt over to capital cost, just how the accounting department wanted to go about doing everything. So keep that in mind when we're looking at the total fixed cost. It does not include a monthly payment for the aircraft. In our fixed cost comparison, you can see by the chart here, the two turboprop come in relatively low compared to the two jets, with one jet significantly higher for fixed costs. And again, a reminder, these fixed costs do not include a payment for the aircraft, as the aircraft is presumed to be bought outright. So here we're looking at the TBM 930 at $203,150, the Pilatus PC-12 at $202,530. And so those two come in pretty much neck and neck. The Nextant 400 XTI was surprisingly low for a jet at $254,600. And the Learjet 70, as was expected at the start of this comparison, came in significantly higher than the rest at $498,500. The hourly operating cost comparison in this chart, the TBM 930 was just under 600 at 596, the Pilatus PC-12 at 683, and then as expected, the jump with the jets, with the Nextant 400 XTI coming in at 1785 and the Learjet coming in at 1877. So now we're going to put the big picture together. Again, we're purchasing the aircraft outright, so the cost of the aircraft is, or subsequent payments if we would have financed this aircraft, are not figured into the overall cost. But we do have the fixed costs for the year plus operating cost hourly figured into this chart. The TBM 930 to travel the estimated 120,000 nautical miles. That's calculating what our team as a whole traveled last year. Again, not including the future expansion. It would take that TBM 400 hours of total flight time to make those travels, and the total yearly cost would be roughly $441,557. The Pilatus PC-12 is going to take the longest, with the slightly slower block speed. Would be 467 total flight hours in that aircraft, and comes in just a little bit higher than the TBM at $521,339. The Nextant 400 XTI, as expected, being a jet, she's going to go a little quicker and would only take 320 hours to travel those 120,000 miles. It would cost a total of $825,816 to operate that aircraft for the year. And the Learjet 70, being the fastest of the bunch, will do the total travel in 300 hours, but does come in substantially higher than the others at $1,061,715. So just an overall, to kind of sum everything up, the cost to utilization comparison here. We did want to look at a charter. When we looked at a charter, we pulled a Learjet 60 at a cost of $5,000 an hour, just a straight charter, no ownership, no fractional ownership of that aircraft. Total cost on that, you can see here, we pass our most expensive of the four aircraft in our comparison, the Learjet 70, at about 150 hours. And considering that the minimum that we would be looking at in total flight time would be in that aircraft at 300 hours, we're clearly saving total operation costs, clearly saving money to go the purchase route versus the charter. We also wanted to throw in fractional ownership. We only did a fractional ownership on this for 1/16 ownership, which will give us a total of 50 hours. And that's the dark blue line that you can see ends there at 50 hours. Pretty much every aircraft, by the time we hit that 100-hour mark, we could see that ownership over fractional ownership would definitely be beneficial. So again, fractional ownership at 50 hours, we're looking at $339,102. So nearly 75%, or roughly 75% of the total cost of our cheapest aircraft to own, which would be that TBM 930. So at this point in time, looking at that comparison between the purchase and ownership versus fractional ownership or just a straight up charter, with the amount of time that our department will be traveling, the flight department is going to be busy, and it definitely does make financial sense for us to go ahead and continue on with looking at purchasing this aircraft.